So Braveheart is one of my favorite movies of all time. You can tell because I got a poster back there. But Braveheart was also one of the very first reviews I ever did on this channel over 2 years ago. And looking back on it now, knowing that it's one of my most popular videos, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I have absolutely no energy, no charisma. I don't feel very enthused by this. It's my favorite movie of all time and it feels like I'm falling asleep when talking about it. So let's boost the energy and let's do that again. Hey guys, my name is Brandon, aka the BrandoCritic, and on this channel it's my job to point you in the direction of movies worth checking out. So if that interests you, definitely hit like and subscribe. And what do you think of the new angle? I just decided to just move the camera around so you can actually see the poster, you can see the wall, you can see the editing station. What do you guys think of this setup? Let me know down below. So before I get into the story, I just want to preface by saying that if you look up Braveheart on YouTube or on Google or wherever, you're gonna come across a lot of history buffs saying that this film is not historically accurate whatsoever. So it's not even worth mentioning that this is based on a true story. I think of this as a fairy tale inspired by true events. So know that going in. This is a very historically inaccurate movie. But as its own standalone movie, let's look at the story. So in Braveheart, we have William Wallace, introduced to us as a child, played by James Robinson. He lives with his father Malcolm, played by Sean Lowler, and brother John, played by Sandy Nelson, in Scotland during the rule of King Edward I, also known as Longshanks, played by Patrick McGoohan, a ruthless king of England who conquered Scotland after Scotland's king died without an heir to the throne and rules with ultimate treachery and tyranny. So that is just the very basic, bare bones story of Braveheart. Minor spoilers ahead, so if you want to go into Braveheart completely blind, turn the review off right now. Because I honestly believe that the best way to view Braveheart is going in completely blind. So skip to this time code if you don't want any spoilers. They're just minor spoilers, so don't worry, but you've been warned. After his father and son are killed fighting the armies of England, William Wallace's uncle Argyle, played by Brian Cox, takes him under his wing on a pilgrimage across Europe to teach him how to be a warrior and a man. William returns home as an adult, this time played by Mel Gibson, and falls in love with his childhood friend Murren, played by Catherine McCormack. I feel like I need to say that word in a Scottish accent. However, upon Wallace's return, Longshanks grants his noblemen in Scotland prima nocte, which basically means that if any Scottish woman is married, the English lords get to sleep with her on her wedding night. Those fucking bastards. So Wallace and Murren marry in secret, which causes some of the local authorities to get suspicious and take matters into their own hands. Trying to fight back, Murren is then captured and publicly executed. Engulfed in rage, Wallace starts an uprising, killing all the English soldiers, thus starting a war against England for Scotland's freedom. So is Braveheart still worth a watch today? This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Of all time. So for me, it's naturally a yes. Now, I watched this movie once when I was 10 years old, and I didn't watch it again until I was 22. And when I watched it when I was 22, I remembered every single scene in that movie. And it was so crazy because that never happens. And I fell in love with this movie all over again, so much so that I bought a ticket to Scotland. Yes, I flew from Vancouver to London, then from London to Edinburgh because of this movie. And you know what? I was really impressed by Edinburgh. It was so beautiful and it was just so much fun, so much history. I loved it there. But as for the movie itself, this movie does something that I think every film should do. Focus on the emotional impact it has with its audience. Now, I talked about this in my original review, but I really do think this. Think about why you go to see a movie, right? Why do you go see an action movie? It's because you want to be just engulfed with just this adrenaline and just this thrill of excitement. Why do you watch a comedy movie? Because you want to laugh. You want to feel a sense of humor. Why do you watch a romance movie? Because you want to feel love and romance and just the ooey gooey lovey-dovey stuff, right? Why do you watch a horror movie? Because you want to feel scared. Movies, at least Hollywood movies in general, are supposed to emotionally move us. And if they don't, well then, they're boring, they're not exciting, and we don't connect with them, and we don't connect with the characters, the story, or the emotion, and they're bad movies, in our eyes, of course. And then you think about why movies like Avatar and Titanic and this one are so popular. It's because they play on just the simple human emotions. So with Braveheart, this is a 3-hour movie, and people will look at that runtime and go, oh my god, a 3-hour movie? Let me tell you right now that this film, it feels like 2 hours because this movie takes its sweet time to establish character, setting, tone, everything that we need to get emotionally invested in this truly epic tale. So let's start with our main character, William Wallace. This film takes its sweet ass time to develop our main hero. Not only do we see his past and backstory when he was a kid, so you understand why he does the things that he does. Not only does the film allow Mel Gibson to show off his likability and his charisma in the role, and yes, this was before the whole drunk driving incident, and I know some people can't really watch Mel Gibson movies because of that, and I understand that, but if you look outside of that, and you look at just his performance, he's really great in this movie. He really shines. And his motivation is clearly set. You clearly know why he wants to go to war with England, what his strengths are, what his weaknesses are, what his motivation is, his wants, his needs, why he does the things that he does. He is strong, he's established, okay, we got it. And then of course we have the romance set up between him and Murren, and again, it's not the most in-depth romance in the world. This is like a heightened fairy tale, and of course you have James Horner's beautiful music, which I will talk about later. But that is set up in the beginning also. And who's to oppose that? Longshanks himself. This film has a great villain. And again, just simply, if you watch a movie and you can't stand the sight of the villain, not because they're ugly, not because they do bad things, but if you just genuinely hate looking at them and you think to yourself, what a slimy little bitch, then they're doing their job right. Not only does Longshanks just look intimidating, but he also is intimidating and menacing. And you see how powerful his character is, and he's so lustful for more power. And of course you see him do absolutely terrible things. And since that we like our main character, and we sympathize with the Scottish, and we understand the romance, and we're emotionally invested in that, as soon as you have this really big, threatening villain try to take that away, we automatically get way more emotionally invested because now we have to defeat this thing. Again, it's so simple. It's such simple stuff, but it's used so effectively here. And of course, it establishes the setting. Scotland is beautiful in this movie, but I heard that it was actually filmed in Ireland. Ouch. And that's more of, Braveheart's not a real story. Braveheart isn't based on true events. Again, think of it like a fairy tale. And then we have the tone, right? And James Horner really brings that out. This is one of my favorite musical scores of all time. Not only is it heroic, it's epic, it's powerful, it's majestic, it's romantic, but it also has this sense of eerie doom in it. That while beautiful things are happening right now, this is a ruthless world and it's such a terrible situation that these characters are in, and it's gonna take a miracle for them to overcome. All of that is portrayed in the tone of the movie, and of course the music is such a big portion of that, and you really feel it. You feel it. And because all those things are set up in the beginning, everything else in the movie, especially the action sequences, which I will talk about soon, they have more emotional stakes. Everything feels heavier. Everything feels like it matters now. You know what? Let's talk about those action sequences. They are huge, and they're extremely impressive just on their own, right? When you look at it from a filmmaking standpoint with all those extras, the camera angles, all the fake blood, and all the actual stunts that they use, it's really impressive stuff. But the reason why we get so invested in this stuff is because we care about the characters, we care about the story. Everything is set up so strongly. And yes, this movie is extremely violent, but it's not violent for the sake of being violent. The violence is in service with the story. Longshanks is such a powerful threat that they need to overcome. And William Wallace has gone through all these things that he's willing to put this entire country and himself at risk just to defeat the English. They want freedom so badly, and they deserve it. And they've just been under the rule of just this evil, and again, this is not true story, it's not 100% real, but in the movie, Longshanks is portrayed as just this evil, he's like the devil. He's just this absolutely terrible human being that you can't help but feel for these Scottish people. And you know what? You want to cover your face full of blue paint and then go into battle. Like, you just want to scream. It's all about emotional simplicity. This film gets it down perfectly. And that's all there is to it. You know what? If you set up those things in the beginning, and then of course you have that great story, the story just feels so much bigger and more powerful because of the emotions. And like I said in the beginning, this is a 3-hour movie that feels like 2 hours. And I've shown this movie to a couple people who have never seen it before, and they all said the exact same thing. They said, wow, this is an emotional roller coaster. Like, this is a movie of it's just a whirlwind of emotional extremes. I love it, and so did they. And I really do think that you'll love it too. I'm giving Braveheart a 5 out of 5. I love this movie so much. It gets me emotional every single time. You know what? I have to have a box of tissues near me because I am just an emotional wreck during this movie. And when it ends, and I won't spoil the ending, I jump out of my seat and I want to clap and I want to cheer. Every time. So anyways, guys, tell me down in the comment section down below, what movie just turns you into an emotional wreck every single time you watch it, just because it's so emotionally moving and powerful? What's that movie? Let me know. And as always, if you like this video and you want to see more videos just like it, definitely hit like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Take care.